This is Land of Havilah, Job 21. Zophar went on for a chapter saying the wicked don't prosper. Now Job will answer. He'll point out that the wicked do prosper. Verse 1. Then Job answered, Listen diligently to my speech. Let this be your consolation. Allow me, and I also will speak. After I've spoken, mock on. As for me, is my complaint to man? Why shouldn't I be impatient? Look at me and be astonished. Lay your hand on your mouth. When I remember, I'm troubled. Horror takes hold of my flesh. Comment: the reason Job is troubled and horrified in verse 6 is because of what he'll say next, that contrary to what Zophar says, the wicked do prosper. It's troubling but true. Zophar should lay his hand on his mouth to learn from Job that this is the case. Verse 7. Why do the wicked live, become old, yes, and grow mighty in power? Their child is established with them in their sight, their offspring before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear, neither is the rod of God upon them. Their bulls breed without fail, their cows calve and don't miscarry. They send out their little ones like a flock. Their children dance. They sing to the tambourine and harp and rejoice at the sound of the pipe. They spend their days in prosperity. In an instant they go down to Sheol. They tell God, Depart from us, for we don't want to know about your ways. What is the Almighty that we should serve him? What profit should we have if we prayed to him? Behold, their prosperity is not in their hand. The counsel of the wicked is far from me. Comment: verse 16, Job says the prosperity of the wicked is not in their hand, meaning it's from God, not themselves. Point being that God prospers the wicked at least sometimes. And he says in verse 16, the counsel of the wicked is far from me. In other words, though they live in prosperity, I'm not going to do what they do to get there. I refuse to be one of them. Verse 17. How often is it that the lamp of the wicked is put out, that their calamity comes on them, that God distributes sorrows in his anger? How often is it that they are as stubble before the wind, as chaff that the storm carries away? Comment: Job's point is that contrary to what Zophar says, it's not very often that God gets angry with the wicked and sends them recompense. Verse 19. You say God lays up his iniquity for his children. Let him recompense it to himself, that he may know it. Let his own eyes see his destruction. Let him drink of the wrath of the Almighty. For what does he care for his house after him when the number of his months is cut off? Comment: Job says, if God lays up calamities for the children of the wicked after the wicked man is gone, why doesn't he make the wicked man look upon it himself if God's trying to punish him? Anything God does to his family after he's gone is nothing to him. Verse 22. Shall any teach God knowledge, since he judges those who are on high? One dies in his full strength, being wholly at ease and quiet. His pails are full of milk. The marrow of his bones is moistened. Another dies in bitterness of soul and never tastes of good. They lie down alike in the dust. The worm covers them. Comment: Job says one man has a pleasant life and an easy death, while another has a hard life and a hard death. But that's God's business. Far be it from any of us to teach God knowledge. Verse 27. Behold, I know your thoughts, the plans with which you would wrong me. For you say, Where is the house of the prince? Where is the tent in which the wicked lived? Haven't you asked wayfaring men? Don't you know their evidence is? That the evil man's reserved to the day of calamity, that they're led out to the day of wrath. Comment: verses 27 to 30, Job says to Zophar, You say the tent of the wicked will vanish, but haven't you asked those who've traveled around and seen a lot? They'll tell you that the evil man is spared from calamity and delivered from the day of wrath. And that interpretation comes from reading that passage in other translations. Now speaking of the evil man, verse 31, Who shall declare his way to his face? Who shall repay him what he has done? Yet he'll be borne to the grave. Men shall keep watch over the tomb. The clods of the valley shall be sweet to him. All men shall draw after him, as there were innumerable before him. So how can you comfort me with nonsense, because in your answers there remains only falsehood? Comment: in verse 31, we might declare to a wicked man's face that he's evil, but our renunciation of him won't stick. He'll brush it off like he's made of Teflon. And who'll repay him for what he's done? Nobody, because it seems no one can lay a hand on him and bring him to justice, according to Job. And in verse 33, the wicked man will be buried in peace, the clods of the valley that are thrown into his grave. will be sweet to him, same as it was for innumerable wicked men before him and will be after him. So Job says to Zophar, "This being the case, that life and death of the wicked is pleasant, how can you comfort me with nonsense that God makes his way difficult?" We don't need to take what Job says as gospel because clearly he is confused at times, but he's got a point. His batting average is much better than his friends. The point of a lot of this is that what happens to people is indeed a mystery. We shouldn't pass judgment on the unfortunate person for his misfortune, or look up to the prosperous person for his prosperity, or find fault with the way God runs things in either case. Job 22 is next.